So I want to start this off by asking that community members feel free to come stand behind us and join us. Feel free. Before we begin this press conference, I would love and would like to have a moment of silence in honor and respect of Darryl Williams. Good morning, everybody. My name is Kerwin Pittman. I'm a social justice activist here in the city of Raleigh. And here we are again at another press conference, another incident at the hands of Raleigh Police Department. I just want to say that Darryl Williams should not be dead. Darryl Williams should not be dead. On the morning that Darryl Williams was murdered at the hands of Raleigh Police Department, their initial interface, their initial encounter with Mr. Williams was unwarranted and unjustifiable. And what I mean by that is, nobody called Raleigh Police Department to the scene. Raleigh Police Department decided to show up on their own and do what they call proactive patrolling. And we got to call a spade a spade. We know what proactive patrolling means and what proactive patrolling really is.
That's right.
Proactive patrolling is nothing more than racial profiling of marginalized communities.
Yes.
It is finding an excuse when there is no excuse to stop minorities and minority communities.
In our own neighborhood.
But most importantly, this is Raleigh Police Department's own version of stop and frisk. Let's make no mistake about this. This is Raleigh Police Department's own version of stop and frisk. They just call it proactive patrolling. It makes no sense that our citizens, us, cannot go into any communities, establishments, areas in Raleigh without being harassed unjustifiably under the pretext of proactive patrolling. This is unconstitutional. This is a violation of civil rights, but most importantly, this is a violation of our human rights, right?
That's right. Yeah.
We have the right to go about in peace. We have that right as human beings. But yet you have law enforcement trying to make an excuse when there is no excuse to stop and frisk us. What they're calling proactive patrolling. Now, the sad thing is, we know and understand that proactive patrolling, Raleigh's version of stop and frisk, is not going to reduce crime. It's not, because stop and frisk has been proven not to reduce crime. Look it up. All it does is give them an opportunity to harass marginalized communities.
On the record.
But most importantly, this is very detrimental to the citizens of Raleigh. Case in point, Mr. Williams' death. And it is numerous others. I'm pretty sure that they use the pretext of proactive patrolling. Now, we have a few questions surrounding the death and the murder of Mr. Williams that we still deserve answers to. The family deserve answers to. The community deserve answers to. That haven't been answered and should have been answered in that 5-day report. And some of those were: how long was Mr. Williams tased? That wasn't in the report. Their policy dictates that they're only supposed to do 5-second cycles. So how long was he tased? Why was they trying to tase Mr. Williams as he was running away when their policy clearly dictates they're not supposed to do that? Even if the prong, as they say, didn't strike him, they're still not supposed to even attempt to tase him while he's running away. So why would you do that? Clearly violating your own policy. The first taser deployment that was used in the drive stunt mode by Officer Thomas that made contact with Mr. Williams' side, what side of the body did it make contact with? And where on his side? Because these are important factors. That wasn't included, but you were sure to include the second officer that used the drive stunt mode and said that he made contact at the back on the left side. Why, when Mr. Williams expressed he had heart conditions, they still chose to tase this man again? Why isn't this taken into consideration? Why isn't this written into their policy about tasing somebody with heart conditions, especially when they express that they have heart conditions, knowing that it's scientifically proven that a taser can either stop your heart or cause you to go in cardiac arrest? These are some of the questions, just a few of the many questions that we demand answers to, deserve answers to. Now I'd like to invite family members to come speak, please.
Hi, my name is Mabel Madden. I'm here speaking on behalf of Darryl's mother, Sonia Williams. And we would just like to say that on behalf of the family, we appreciate everyone and their support. But we would also like for you all to know that a piece of our hearts has been taken from us. You know, what is going on in our community is a true testament as to why we are all gathered here today, and we just want answers. We want answers as to why this happened to Darryl, and not saying that the answers will completely heal her heart, but it would give her a little bit of resolve, a little bit of peace to be able to sleep at night, because she has not been able to do that. This is her firstborn, her first baby. And if any of you have ever lost a child, then you can only understand how she feels. Again, we thank you for your support. We appreciate all the community just coming together and rallying for this cause to seek justice for Darryl. And that is all we have to say. Thank you.
And at this time, we'll have Don Blagrove read our demands and say a few words.
Good morning. My name is Attorney Dawn Blagrove. I am the Executive Director of Emancipate NC. And we are here yet again because Raleigh Police Department is held to no professional standards, has no accountability, fails to follow its own policies and procedures, and most importantly, does not respect or value the lives of Black people in Southeast Raleigh. We want to first talk about what is called a report, and I want to take a moment for us to dissect what a report is. A report should be something that is fact-based, that is fact-driven, that is free of opinion or unnecessary facts. And what we have seen time and time again, Raleigh Police put forth as a report is actually a tool of propaganda. It is a tool of propaganda to slanderize victims. It is a tool of propaganda that is being used under the guise of calling it a report to further insulate RPD from the punishment and accountability they fully deserve.
Right.
If you read that report, that propaganda document, you will, with a critical eye, you will find lots of inconsistent falsehoods coupled inextricably with truths. However, the goal of good propaganda is to do just that. It's to create a picture that tells the story that you want to tell, as opposed to the one that actually happened. And that's what this 5-day report is. That's what this 5-day piece of propaganda is. As an example, it starts off by saying the Raleigh Police Department were conducting a drug investigation. Yet 2 paragraphs down, it also says that the police officers were there doing something called preventative policing. What is preventative policing? It is a euphemism for stop and search. It is a euphemism for harassing black people. It is a euphemism for Jim Crow era policing that is designed to control black bodies and keep them in their place. So let me be clear about this report and the objectivity of it. There is none. This report is designed to malign the victim, to malign a murder victim. It doesn't matter what police found in his car. It doesn't matter what he has done in the past. What matters is on that night, he was bothering no one. He was minding his own business. He was in community with another community member at a place that was public and free. He was harassed by a gang of marauding Raleigh police officers with no other job, with no other goal than to intimidate black people in Southeast Raleigh and manipulate and control their movements. Make no mistakes, that's what this is. And when Darryl did not produce his freedom papers fast enough, when he was unwilling to comply with the harassment, when he demanded that he be treated with the same dignity that a student on NC State's campus is treated with,
Yes.
he died for it. He died for demanding dignity. He needs to be the last in Raleigh to die.
That's right.
At the hands of state-sanctioned violence, at the hands of Raleigh Police Department, at the hands of law enforcement officers who are lawless, have no accountability, and no real leadership.
None.
So here is what we demand. Number one, we demand that every officer involved in the murder of Darryl Williams be terminated immediately.
Right.
The taxpayers are tired of paying for our own murderers.
Prosecute them too.
Second demand, thank you for that segue. Our second demand is that these men be brought up on charges for murder. Now, typically we would ask for Lauren Freeman to bring those charges. But what District Attorney Freeman has shown us time and time again is that she does not have the stomach or the political will to protect the people of Southeast Raleigh against the occupiers that Raleigh Police Department have presented themselves to be.
Yes.
So we demand prosecution, but we also demand that a special outside prosecutor is appointed to investigate and ultimately try these cases.
That's right. That's right.
We are also calling for an immediate stop to preventative policing. We have heard time and time again from community members since Darryl was murdered about how Raleigh Police Department in the middle of the day pulls up on businesses in Southeast Raleigh,
All the time.
2 or 3 cars deep, and jump out
All the time.
and just harass people.
All the time.
Where your ID?
Look in their cars.
What you doing?
What are you doing here? Demanding that folks show them their freedom papers. Nobody else in Raleigh has to show their freedom papers.
And then we get a ticket for trespass.
We need the immediate cease and desist
That's right.
of any proactive policing. We also demand that until Raleigh Police Department officers have proven that they understand their own policies and procedures around the use of tasers, that all tasers be removed from Raleigh Police Department officers, and no more tasers are able to be used until the community can be ensured that non-lethal force will not become a murder weapon.
Yes.
I agree.
We also demand more accountability and oversight. The Raleigh City Council created a sham of a police oversight board.
That's right.
We want that board either dissolved or repopulated and given the real investigative authority that is necessary to hold law enforcement accountable. We want our city council to ensure and demand that Raleigh police officers carry their own professional liability insurance
Yes.
as individuals. The people of Raleigh are tired of paying for their occupiers' mistakes. If law enforcement were first to carry their own professional liability insurance, just like every other profession, maybe that would be what it would take to create the cultural change that we need to see, to make all people in Raleigh safe. Because what we know for sure is that Chief Patterson and City Council don't respond to dead black bodies with accountability. They don't respond to grievance after grievance after grievance that is filed.
Come on. Come on.
They do not respond to the indignities that the people of Southeast Raleigh
That's right.
have to live with every single day.
Every day. All skin folk ain't kin folk.
So maybe we can create the cultural change we need inside of law enforcement if their bottom lines are impacted. Again, we stand here before you with demands that are not utopian. They are real, they are tangible, and they can be achieved. Black folks in Southeast Raleigh can be safe, and they deserve that. They certainly do not deserve to live in a militarized state being occupied by people that should protect and serve. Thank you.
We'll now have Dr. Kimberly McTerrian close us out, and then we'll have a small portion for Q&A.
Thank you. To the Raleigh viewing audience and across this nation, we stand here on the grounds of Martin Luther King statue. But Mr. Darryl Williams died on the day of that Martin Luther King And we have a duty and an obligation to close out this nightmare and bring in the reality, not the dream, but the reality that says all men are created equal. On the death of Mr. Williams, his life did not matter to police officers. They did not even bother to do resuscitation as they stood and watched over him. All lives matter, but Black lives matter too. And Mr. Williams, on the night he died, did not die from heart distress. He died from racial unrest. This is not proactive policing. He resisted racial profiling. And what we need to say to the state of North Carolina is, where is our protection? Where is the 14th Amendment that says that we are equally protected under the law, from the law, and to all law enforcement that was birthed and born in racism? We cannot say this city will welcome George Floyd but cannot protect Darryl Williams. That is hypocrisy. And we cannot purchase our way or have programs or enough training or enough policy until we dismantle the so-called police force that hires African Americans to do their dirty work. And if we are the bad guys, then I don't know who America is to ask such a question. So today we call on our leaders, our religious leaders. We call on our liaisons. We call on anybody who says that they stand in the breath of humanity. Not your police department. Now you can come out your costumes. Take off your badge. Strip yourself of your honor and your salary. And don't hide behind the fortresses of your municipality and your 12 lawyers of litigation to fight against your own people. You did not pay us reparations, so we cannot fight you in the same manner. I dare you, City of Raleigh, to disarm yourself of your wealth and your prestige and power so that we can stand on equal grounds to dismantle this racist system. If you dare, so do it. We are here. We stand with this family and the 11 minorities killed by RPD in 9 years. 2 of them are brothers. We stand with every mother, every father, every son, every niece, nephew, every family member. Our community stands in solidarity today. And we say, stop the steal of the lives of Black lives. Why? Because this was a lynching. We say that lynchings are no longer a tree or a rope or a tree, but now it is a vote and a knee. And now we say it is a taser gun that has lynched Mr. Williams. We say cease and desist. We call for legislators, Congress members, to protect Black Americans, those who built the grounds of your city, built the buildings in which you walk in. We deserve protection. And we will not stop by any means necessary until we get it. Thank you.
Go ahead, Kimberly. Thank you.
Now, with that being said, we'll now have a small portion of Q&A. But I want to say first and foremost that Darryl Williams' mother will not be answering any questions. Do anybody have any questions?
Could you give the names of the people who talked? The lady who was just talking and the family member?
Kimberly Muktarian, Kimberly, Muktarian.
Mabel Madden, Davelle, Madden.
Attorney Dawn Blagrove, Executive Director of Emancipate NC. That's D-A-W-N. Last name is Blagrove, B-L-A-G-R-O. V as in Victor, E as in Edgar. And that is Emancipate NC.
Oh, we don't have no information on the passengers.
I know, first of all, we're sorry for the loss of Darryl Williams. I know that you have mentioned, and several people up there have talked about the concern about this preventative or proactive policing. In the 5-day report, it does state that they were policing that area with heavy volume calls that they got from that report, somewhere in the midst of about 105 reports. What would be the response to that?
So the response to that would be, they get heavy calls on Glenwood, but do you see them proactive patrolling on Glenwood? Just because our area receive heavy calls does not mean that regular citizens cannot go over in that area without being harassed. This is an excuse when there is no excuse for what they're doing. Plain and simple.
And also, let's make no mistake that this situation and this response that we've seen from RPD, heavy policing in black and brown communities in this city, is not new. This is a cyclical structure. If you over-police a community, if you make that community believe that they are in some way in more danger than anyone else, and you make them unnecessarily rely on law enforcement in a way that even though they know those folks do not protect them, they do not believe that they have any alternative, then yes, you're going to get high call volumes. The same reason that we have over half of our population in prison is black and brown. The same reason that we have disproportionate black and brown children suspended from school systems. It is because we live in a system that is racist. We live inside of a system that is oppressive, and that the racism is institutionalized. And when that happens, your statistics are always going to reflect that institutional racism.
Question. If they're speaking about high volume in terms of calls to that area, my question would be, who called the officer that's sitting right there now looking over there? Who called him? Who called him?
Right. Come on. Good job. Thank you, sir.
And again, what we know is that preventative policing is just a dressed up fancy name for stop and frisk, which was a dressed up fancy name for Jim Crow policing and for black codes.
And slave patrol.
And slave patrols.
If there are no more questions, thank y'all for coming out.